Yeah, once again, I'm happy to be here. Today, I will quickly look into the general roadmap to being a data analyst or data scientist. So I know at a point, during your journey as a data scientist or analyst, you are going to be confused. Yeah, it happens to me as well. You will be confused because you don't even know where we are going, where we are coming from, where we are. So I will be sharing some slides that I downloaded. You're going to be seeing such slides on your maybe when you are trying to search on information on data science, and this thing will be confusing us. That's what is actually the data science or data analyst, what are the things we need, how am I supposed to become one, where am I presently, what will I need to do more to get to where I'm going. So we'll be getting different slides on our LinkedIn, and we'll be confused at the point. So, but this is just the summary of all that happens. For example, I will share this. I hope you can see this file. Can you all see this file?
Yes, we
Yeah,
see.
I downloaded this file. I have a lot of them I downloaded, so I will share some of them with us. You can see at the center, we have who is a data science or who is a data scientist or what is a data science or a data analyst. Now, as a data scientist or analyst, these are the things we always come across, or these are the journey we are supposed to go through. And was where we started from. Starting from this programming language, right? The first thing you are supposed to do as a data analyst is going to be, okay, let me say from here, is going to be having some knowledge in mathematics. Of course, we all have this knowledge of little mathematics, addition, subtraction, okay? And then we have some little knowledge of statistics. That of calculus, well, may not be a priority, but to have simple knowledge of statistics, you know how to add together, you know how to do little linear algebra, little statistics like a mean, median, and mode. You, at the point, of course, you see me talking about mean, median, and mode. The implication, when the mean is this, the mode is this, and then what is going to be the implication on the data. If you check a particular data and you check some of these percentile, you have at the point when we are talking about and bus plots where we have something like the mean, the media, the median, and we have the mode, and we have a point that we have some things that are called outliers. These are because we have little understanding of statistics, that anything that is greater or that is higher than this the maximum parts should be treated as outliers. However, we are also said we must have some domain knowledge of the field we are talking about. For you to treat anything as an outlier, you must understand the statistic behind it, and you must have the domain knowledge about it. So talking about the knowledge, general knowledge is very, very important to become a data scientist or analyst. That is talking about the mathematics. So you have to understand simple knowledge. Apart from that, then the next thing, you must use some tools. Some tools. You must have the knowledge of some tools. Some of these tools, we have a lot of tools we must be able to use. But at the point, you just have to pick one of them. We treated here, we are talking about programming language. And now we know we have a programming language like Python, R, Java. The best for data science is Python and R. The best is Python and R. However, some people still talk about things like using MATLAB. Yeah, I use MATLAB at the point, but at the point I just have to concentrate. So you still have to use programming language like Python majorly, because that will help you to be able to cut across so many things you will be doing in as a data scientist. Python has a lot of libraries that you'll be using, which we have used some of them. We already know we have something called NumPy. We already know we have something called Matplotlib. We know we have Seaborn. We have there are other one we have not used, like SciPy, which we'll be using very soon. So these programming languages, they are the one we are going to use. We're just going to adopt one, which we have adopted Python. Sometimes it is good to know more than one, to understand more than one programming language. Like you know about R, you know about Python, you know about JavaScript is not a programming language, it's a scripting language, but it's important you know about a JavaScript, and at the same time, it's also important you know about SQL. So, but SQL is also not considered a programming language, but it's a language on its own, query language. So it's important you know about SQL. You will see sometimes some people will put SQL as part of this programming language here, SQL. But in this particular slide, the person that designed this did not put SQL here. Good. Sometimes you can see SQL. But once you know Python in this category, Python is sufficient for you. And it's easier for you to navigate to R. It's just it follows the same structure, only the syntax that is different. Okay? So if you know how to write in Python, when you are supposed to print and you are using print, if it is another program, you are not going to use print, you are going to use another syntax. So that is just different between most of these programming language. So programming language is no more our problem. We have an idea of Python. We just need to build more on being very efficient at writing. And that is only when we practice that we can understand more about this. So math problem is definitely not a problem because most of us have a basic education. So we understand linear algebra and we understand statistics. And now we also understand Python, which is good. We're going to be using many libraries in Python to solve the problem. So now, apart from that, there are heading that you use places that you can code. You don't just you use Python and you code the Python somewhere, like a platform where you can type the Python code. So which is the idea. Now we have been using Google Colabs. You can see collaboratory here under the IDE. So we already understand how to use Google Colabs. So there are Google Colabs is not the only one that you can use. You can use Visual Studio. It's not part of this. This person did not put it, which we can use Visual Studio. We can use Google Colab. We can use Jupyter Notebook. You can use Python and PyCharm. All these are used for Python. But if you are not using Python, you are using R language, then you use R Studio. So, but now we know how to use collaboratory, Google Colabs. Then at the same time, we should know how to use Jupyter Notebook. So we should be able to use Jupyter Notebook apart from Google Colabs. So at the same time, we should be able to set up the Jupyter Notebook in our Visual Studio Code. So Visual Studio Code is still a category in this IDE. So I'm sure we already know that we can use Google Colabs now. So that is exactly how most of them look like. PyCharm, at the point I was using the PyCharm, but it's not too good for a data science. It's not too good a platform to be used for data science, but you can use it to code. That is on IDE. Now, apart from that, we should also be able to analyze data. When you are using your Python inside your Google Colabs or inside your Jupyter Notebook or inside your VS Code, then you should be able to do data analysis using your understanding of mathematics and the understanding of your coding in Python using Python libraries. You should be able to do feature engineering. You should be able to do data wrangling and, of course, EDA. As for what is EDA? What is EDA? I'm trying to guess the code. Exploratory data analysis, right? Yeah, exploratory data analysis. And we have done all this. Like you are taking the data, you put in the data, then you do you check everything on it. You check like .add, .describe, what other thing we do? .describe, .info, everything is the EDA we are doing. After checking everything to know the behavior of the data, we can now look into if the data is clean or not clean and do data wrangling. Now you can do data wrangling in the form of checking for the NAN, checking for what else again? Outliers, etc. So, under this data analysis, we have an idea of data wrangling, we have an idea of EDA, we also have an idea of feature engineering, which we have done. We try to say feature engineering, majorly, we look at the characteristics of our data, each column, and we'll say if it is possible for us to combine some of them. We combine to form one. For example, I cited if you are given height and weight, you can combine everything together using the formula to form body mass index. And for example, if you are dealing with a room, what you are doing, maybe you rent an apartment for people and you use the dimension of the room to know the price. And what you just need to know is to know the height, the width, and the breadth of the room. And when you have this in your features, you can do feature engineering to just reduce it to one by only knowing the volume of the room, which again, mathematics come in to just say length times breadth times height. All these, when you are doing all this, you are doing feature engineering. And sometimes you have data and you think like this data, we have to bin them into categories. They are continuous data, we want to convert them to categorical data, so we can do some feature engineering, which we have talked about. Again, we can scale. You can do some scaling and etc. Everything will come under this data analysis, which by now, I believe we have an idea of what all this is all about. Now, everything we need to do more on this is to do practice. We have to practice more, do more feature engineering, do more data wrangling, do more EDA to have more understanding. And of course, EA, mathematics, your domain knowledge will always come to play. Now, data visualization, which we have done, there are a lot of ways of doing data visualization. For example, if you are using Python, the kind of data visualization you are doing is going to be different from when you are using R, because the libraries in R is different from the libraries in Python. Now, if you are using Python, the libraries you majorly use for data visualization is matplotlib, or we use Seaborn, which we already understand. We use matplotlib, we also use Seaborn. If you are not using Python, you can as well use other tools like Tableau. You can also use Power BI. In fact, you can use Excel. Excel is the easiest one that everybody should understand. That if you import your data, instead of using Python, you can use Excel to get data. When you get the data in Excel, you can do visualization in there, and if you are very good, you can do some little wrangling. But because we have more control using Python, That is why majorly most of us don't want to use the traditional Excel. And some companies up to today, they still believe in Excel. Of course, you cannot, Excel is very wide. If you really want to go to Excel, you can still call yourself a data scientist and be using Excel without even going into programming language. So, which is a very powerful tool as well. And on top of Excel, there are other tools that were built, like Power BI, Tableau, which other tools? I used some other tools before, which I cannot remember. Let me check my system if I can still see some of them. Oh, not on this system. Yeah, it's not on this system. But I have used some other tools before. There are a lot of tools you can use when it comes to this. So that is on that. Again, sorry. Yeah, that is on data visualization. So what we are trying to point out here is that it is not only matplotlib or seaborn that can be used for data visualization. You can use Power BI, you can use Tableau, you can use ggplot, you can use Excel, and a lot for that. So for your data visualization, but you can't be using all at all time. If you want to choose Python libraries only, then you can only limit yourself. You may limit yourself to matplotlib and seaborn. If you want to be using another tools like Tableau or you use Power BI, depending on the company where you are working. There are some companies that they use Tableau. Of course, Tableau is even difficult to use because you have to pay some subscriptions. I've used Tableau before. I only downloaded the trial version, and after the trial version elapsed, so I stopped using Tableau. I only try to use Tableau to have little understanding of what Tableau talks about. So if anybody today is asking me, did I know how to use Tableau? I say yes. But I will tell them I don't use Tableau because I have to be paying subscription. Since I'm not using it for any company, I don't have to be paying any subscription for something I'm not using. So that may be the reason why I'm not using Tableau. But of course, when you have a general understanding of visualization, I know when I'm supposed to use pie chart, I know when I'm supposed to use a bar chart, I know when I'm supposed to use line graph, and etc. So the same principle for all. The line graph you are using in Tableau is the same line graph you are using in Power BI, is the same line graph you are using in Matplotlib, is the same line graph you are using when you use seaborn. It's the same line graph you are going to use if you use Excel. It's just the tools you use or the libraries you are using that is going to be different. So you only have to have a general knowledge of what data visualization means. So if they now ask you in any company, of course, a company reach out to me now and ask me if I know how to use Tableau, I will be very plain. I will say, yes, I've used Tableau before. When I was trying to practice, I can use Tableau. But when it comes to data visualization, I have very good knowledge of data visualization using tools like Seaborn, Matplotlib, but I'm ready to learn Excel. And everybody knows that if you can use all this, and it's just I'm ready to learn Tableau. If I happen to be in a company that is using Tableau, they know it's just for me to get the tools. Once I get the tools in less than 2-3 days or even a week, I become a master of the Tableau. And it's the same thing with Power BI. So this is the general knowledge you just have to use to have to navigate within different platforms is easier.
And
So the same thing. If you are using Python and a company is using R, for you to have known how to use Python, if they are ready to hire you, it's easier for them because they know it's just you already know what to do. It's just the syntax that you have to learn. Now, if what I'm supposed to do in Python is to import, I will just Google. If I want to import this file in R, what am I going to use? Then in Python, they will come and say, in Python, you use import. In R, you use this. In Java, you use that. In this, you use it. Then you use what you are supposed to use. in that particular programming language. So it is very easy when you know one, it's easy to navigate to the other one. So that is why when you are very good at Python or you have some level of efficiency, you can quickly just look into R and see what happens in R. That doesn't mean you want to learn R. It's just to have a general knowledge of what is happening in R. And immediately you are looking at, okay, oh, this is what they are doing here. Okay, but instead of using this, this is what they use. Okay, that is easier for you. Somebody want to ask question, please? I'm listening.
Abdul, I didn't want to ask any question. I just wanted to mention that for someone who wants to gain more experience using Tableau, there's now a free version of Tableau.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
It's called Tableau Public.
Okay, thank you. I never knew. Thank you for this.
Right.
I will try to explore that as well.
All right.
Yeah, that is a good. The reason why people don't go into Tableau is that you have to pay. You have to pay. So you have to pay. But Power BI is easy. It's very free. So everybody, anyone that want to go into Power BI, is easier.
Can I ask a question, Abdul?
Yeah.
Sometimes people are trying to transition. I won't take long. They come from different fields, like myself as an accountant, and I did do a course, apprenticeship, data apprenticeship, level 4. And sometimes the colleges will offer training, and sometimes people are not clear about which programs they should be learning or what they should be learning. So I learned R on the training, and then my colleague went out on another program and learned Python. It's just to be clear about what's the most popular, what companies are looking for in terms of the tools, and some, what are the most popular tools to learn, particularly if you're moving into the area of data science and you're a newcomer. That was all. Just kind of just ask you that question as you're going through. What are the most companies are looking for in terms of jobs? And if people are going onto a course, there's a lot of courses out there, but some of them could be misleading, not teaching you the most popular courses and tools and courses. If you could just highlight some of them for myself, you probably moving into it, just if you've got the time, that's all.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a view on that, but yeah, Abdul, please share your thoughts.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Are you done?
Yes, that was just my question while you're talking through this. Newcomers, people who've got experience who wanted transferable skills into data science. If you could just let us know what are the skills to be looking for in programs and what the demands are in the jobs and the job market now, because it's always changing. Thank you.
If you check most job, they will have their job descriptions from company to company. And one major thing they will ask for when they want to talk about programming language, one thing is that they expect that you understand a programming language. Some company will say Python or R. Python or R. So when it comes to programming language, the most important one here is Python. So far, you can, after this class, you can check many jobs. You will see that you are always going to find Python in all of them. So sometimes they will say Python or R. Some company will say Python and R. And one thing I want us to understand is that in a job, it is not possible that a single individual will have all that is described in the job description. You can have like 80%, 85% of the job description, 90% good. You may be, when it comes to programming language, if you know your Python very well, then the hard part, even if they say Python or R, or sometimes they say Python and R, they expect that you understand one programming language. And the one that I will recommend is Python. That is on programming language. Now, when it comes to data visualization tools, immediately once you understand Python, you will automatically understand Seaborn and Matplotlib, which shows that you already have the knowledge of data visualization using Matplotlib or Seaborn. But most companies have a specific one they use. They use either Tableau or Power BI. But I think Power BI is more popular. Power BI is more popular. But whether you have used Tableau or Power BI before, it's just a matter of knowing how to do data visualization. Once you are able to use Matplotlib or Seaborn, everyone knows that it's going to be easier for you to navigate your way or your path to either Power BI or Tableau. In most companies, of course, they always have to teach you their tools, the tools they are using. They always have to introduce you to the tools they are using, even if it is just a month training. So you can't know all. You just have to understand the popular one. Of course, the libraries, the popular libraries, Matplotlib and Seaborn. And the popular platform is Power BI. I hope you understand that. That is on data visualization. But either whether you are using Python, you are using R, you are using other programming language, then these ones, they are normal thing that everybody should be able to do using any of this programming language. Feature engineering, if in an interview they can ask you what you understand by feature engineering, everything I've explained. Trying to look into your data and take any of the attributes, try to scale those that need to be scaled, try to combine features together. If you have like 3 features, if it is possible, you combine them to form one, or this is all about feature engineering. Data wrangling, what do you understand by data wrangling? You simply tell them is data cleaning, and you explain further, like trying to check the outliers and trying to check the non-NAN, try to look into maybe if you have special characters, try to check if some things are not properly labeled, or these are data wrangling. Like EDA, trying to check the shape of the data, try to look into the general statistics and stuff like that, because it is after you have done your EDA that you can do the data wrangling. These are just the general knowledge on either platform, any platform you are using at all. So talking about the popular programming language, I have identified Python, and talking about for data science. You know, when you say the popular data programming language, it depends on what you want to use it for. Because sometimes if you go online, you see something like JavaScript as being the most popular programming language. The question you should ask yourself for is, JavaScript is for what? So definitely you are not trying to say JavaScript is the most popular language for data science. So if you are considering data science, the most popular language is Python. So if you are doing Python, that is the best choice for you. And when it comes to data visualization, if you have known Matplotlib, Seaborn, then it's good to have an idea of either Tableau or Power BI. These are the most popular language used.
Sorry, Abdul.
Yeah.
In data science, do we use SQL?
SQL, yes, that is what we are supposed to do, and that is where I'm going to. I'm still going there. We use SQL.
Okay.
Yeah, that is what we are even supposed to do on coding today, which we have a little problem. So, but the function of the SQL is what I will go to when I'm done with this. When I come to web scraping, I will talk about that. Now, I've talked about data analysis, I've talked about data visualization, I've talked about the knowledge you are supposed to have, I've talked about the programming language, I've talked about the IDE. Then the next thing I want to talk about, if we are talking about a programming language and we are talking about data analysis, we have to use a data. The question is, where are we going to get the data from?
Can I just quickly add to the comprehensive response that you shared with us, Abdul, with regards to the question that was asked around languages and data visualization tool? Because I really like what you said, but just to add to that, in terms of the question that was asked, in my experience, SQL and Java, they're a little bit, how can I put it, old school, useful skills to have, but a little bit old school. Python, I definitely agree with Abdul. Python is definitely the best way forward, particularly from a data science and AI build point of view, Python is definitely, I would say, the most popular one, particularly in the commercial sector. And in terms of data visualization, again, I definitely agree with everything that Abdul said. Tableau is, in my experience, a little bit old school, and Power BI is much more popular, again, for the bigger commercial organizations. That's just based on my own experience.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Can I ask a question as well myself in terms of sometimes in terms of I work in the public sector, and I think with my trying to get the data in terms of the work environment, so obviously I have to use the data in the work to demonstrate, what I'm doing. Sometimes I found behind some platforms or what the systems that we use, particularly with SQL, that was one of them. I couldn't access the raw data. I learned the coding, and it's just to be mindful sometimes if you're in the workplace. I'm just talking about my own experience to demonstrate, because we have to access data in our workplace or something to practice or to actually use it to demonstrate what we're doing. So I found it difficult to access from the systems that we use. I think it was a housing system to get the raw data, and there's authorization limitations on what we can access. That was all in the work context, just to bring that in. That was all.
Yeah. So anyone else? Hello, Hall? Hello, everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other person with any contribution or experience? Okay. Yeah, let me just continue. Thank you for that insight.
Abdul?
Yeah.
I think somebody that says SQL is so school, right?
Yeah.
I don't buy into it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
As a data analyst or data scientist or data engineer, that is the art of someone's work, right?
Yes.
Coding in Python.
I'm coming to that.
Coding in R, anything you want to do without SQL, right, is as if somebody don't even know what he's doing, because that's when we are going to join data. That's when we are going to have some queries. So when you are bringing data from different data sets, right, maybe from from different source, right, and we want to do data cleaning, that's why we use SQL. SQL is, in fact, most of the companies, they prefer someone to know a advanced knowledge of SQL, right?
Yeah.
Because that's when in fact, I can say it's the basis of programming.
Okay. Yeah. I will clear that is why I came up with this illustration, because I know this is always a problem for everyone. Even myself, at a point, I was confused. You understand? The same thing happens to everyone. Now, you were mentioning that for data cleaning that we use SQL. Of course, you already see that we are doing data cleaning in Python, right? We have done a lot of data cleaning in Python. So, but that is what I want to break down. Now, we have talked about all this, but we see something like web scraping now. Where SQL comes for, where SQL become very important for data science or data scientists is majorly we have different roles in data. And these roles have become, we cannot even differentiate between these roles, right? We don't know the difference between a data analyst. We don't know the difference between a data scientist. We don't know the difference between a data engineer and etc. like that. There are different roles in data, and these roles, they have the different tools they use best. Now, talking about data and SQL, for data analysts or data scientists, SQL is not the core. For data analysts or data scientists, The only thing we only need to understand about SQL is how to query, because if you are working in a company that is using a particular database, in their database, they have gotten all the data for their customers and this and that, and they want an insight from that data. All you just need to do as an analyst or as a scientist is to query this data and bring them to your Python platform. The only thing you just need is to get the table. There could be a lot. For example, in the database, there could be the code of the customer, there could be the town, the kind of the vehicle the customer is using, there could be the number of children, there could be the insurance, there could be the nationality, there could be so many things about every data and every customer. But as a data scientist, as an analyst, you don't need everything. All you need is just to go there and say, okay, all I need is the customer ID and what they have purchased over a period of time. When you query that, maybe perhaps you have just only 4 columns. From maybe 100 columns in the database, you only need like 4 columns. You are going to use SQL to pull this data out. Once you pull that data out, you only pull the 4 columns you need and you work on it. When you work on it, all you are going to do on it, you do the data wrangling, you can do feature engineering, you do EDA, data wrangling, and data visualization, and present your findings. That is all you need to do as a data analyst or data scientist. But when it comes to other forms of data practitioners, they are the ones that we need to design this database, which they will need the core of SQL to design. You don't need that as a data analyst. Design it, give it to me, and let me use it. You are going to understand better now. As a patient, you go to the hospital. When you get there, the function of the nurse is to give you the injection. All what nurse want to do is to get the prescription from the doctor. When they get the prescription from the doctor, then they have been told what to do. They are not going to be questioned on how the injection or the medication has been prepared. They don't want to know the composition of the drugs. Of course, sometimes they can know, okay, this is how, these are the composition, and what this composition is that this one is going to make you to sleep, this one is going to set some part of your brain, this one is going to, that is why we are using this drug for you, right? But you don't ask them how it is being made. I hope you understand. There are other people like pharmacologists, the pharmacists, that now know more about that. That is exactly what happens in the data family. But the problem we have now is like we overlap the function of everyone. As a data analyst, I want to know how the database is being created. I want to design the database myself, which is not my function. If you want to design this database, you want to do a lot about this database, you want to know how they connect together using different keys, you are the one to design this key, you are the one to do this, do that, then you must know the core of SQL. But as someone that only want to use the data, you only say, okay, you have your database already, okay? In your database, please, I only need this. Just give me access to your database. The only thing I need from you, just give me the password or just allow me access to the database. I haven't gotten the access to the database. I only need this column, like 4 columns from your database. I pull those 4 columns out from your database and then out of your database totally. I don't need the database anymore. I don't want to have anything doing with your database after pulling all I need. I hope you understand that. So the function of data science scientist or analyst is just majorly to pull a data from the database. You are not ready to put data into the database. That is not your function. That is not your function. Yeah, maybe you talk about data engineer, what they do, they're going to design database, they're going to do this. Of course, you must be a data engineer. I hope you understand. It is the overlapping of functions, of responsibilities that make every data scientist or analyst to think that SQL is a core. It is not the core. It is just for me to pull out my data from your database. After I pull out the data, I can use any tools I like to analyze my data. Now, after pulling it out, I can pull it out and now go and store it as a CSV file. If I like, I pull it out and store it as a Z file. After that, I now go back to the Z file and do proper data analysis on it, using any tools of my choice. At that point, I no more need SQL. But if you are the one to design the database, you are the one to monitor how the customer data is being stored on the database, your own is not to analyze the database. You are less concerned about the analysis. You don't want to know what is happening. All you just need to know is to ensure that you collect all the necessary data. You ensure all the necessary data are in the database. You can see these are different roles. But sometimes we don't even know our limitation. I just cited an example of in a healthcare settings. You want someone to prescribe the drug for you, and the person has done the prescription. You still want the same person to give you the injection. You want the same person to provide, to be the one to manufacture the drug. No, these are different roles. The people manufacturing the drug, maybe they are pharmacologists or pharmacists, I don't know. So they are going to manufacture the drug, make it available. It is when it is available, I will now go to the pharmacy and go and get it. How it gets to the pharmacy, how it gets prepared is none of my business. That is exactly the business of a data analyst with interaction with a database. Now, the same thing happens to web scraping. It's like you want to tell me as a data scientist or analyst that I should know how to build a web. Because sometimes we have to scrape the web to get some data from it. If after scraping the web, you are going to get the data from it, when you get the data, then you now do anything you like with that data. How the information gets to the web, that is not my business. I don't want to know. I don't want to learn HTML. I don't want to learn anything related to building websites. But that doesn't mean I should not be able to interact with it. The only thing I only need to interact with a web, I can simply use my beautiful soul libraries in Python to interact with web, to just get the data I want. After getting the data, I have nothing to do with the web again. For example, let me see. I think I have a data here that I can quickly share. Since we are not coding today and we are talking generally. But before then, let me quickly ask a question. Is it clear the function of a data analyst? Now, it is not going to be right to say SQL is invalid. It is not going to be right. But we can only talk about the percentage of SQL you have to understand. The percentage of SQL you have to understand as a data scientist or analyst is a very small part, just to query to get your data. That is all you need to know. But if you want to go, like we say, like maybe 20% of SQL, once I know the 20% of SQL, I'm good. I don't want to know any other thing about it. I don't want to know how you create your table. That is not my business. You understand? I don't want to know how to put them into the database. I don't want to know how you host your database. I don't want to know anything about that. Just give me access to the database, let me pull the data and use it. But for a data engineer, like want to build the one to ensure that everything go properly in the database. He must be able to design a good database. He must ensure that every data gets into the database. The function of the engineer about the knowledge of what happens in the database in terms of analysis is none of his business. Just put in your data, that is my problem. Someone is going to check if the data are accurate, or the data are this or that. There are other people to do that. That is exactly what happens in the data family. But sometimes most job description, they don't even know what they are looking for. If you check most job description, they will say they want data analysts, and they are putting the functions of data scientists. Now, so job description, they want a data scientist, and they are putting the job of data engineer. That has been the problem, because they themselves, they don't even know the difference between data scientist, data engineer, data analyst, and other family in the data group. Please, can you say one or two things before we continue? I will try and load the data for you to understand. Now, I was still on getting the data. One method to get the data is to use SQL, to just query from the database. If you are getting if your data is in the database, then in that case, you only need to understand how to use SQL to query a data from the database. That is the only thing you need to know. Another thing, if your data is hosted and is on the web, and the only thing you want to do is just to get the data from the web, you can use another, or your functions as a data scientist or data analyst is just to scrape the web using Beautiful Soup in your Python libraries. And that is all you need to do. You don't need to know everything about web design. I know a little about web design. That is my choice. It's not because web design is compulsory for me as a data scientist. In fact, there are two different paths. But I just choose to go into web design, web database management, because I just choose to know more about that. But literally, as a data scientist, I only need to know how to scrape the web, and that is all I need to know. Anything about web design, that is not my problem. I hope you understand up to this point. Please, let's quickly. So it's going to be wrong to say SQL is not valid, depending on your data. For SQL, to use SQL, you must be in a company that owns their data in a database. And if they host their data in the database, then it means you get that data through SQL. And the only syntax you need to understand is just to pull the data from the database, and that is all. Every other thing, once you pull it, you store it as CSV file. You already have a CSV file. You continue other things you are doing normally, like you are using it in CSV file. And that is all. So if you are dealing with a company that you want to, all the information you need to get from them is on their website. All you need to do is just to scrape the information from the website. And after scraping it, you are less concerned about what happens on the website again. You have gotten your information, then you analyze the data. I will cite an example of what I have done before using web scraping, so that you really understand the limits of the SQL you need to understand as a data scientist. You are not going to the core. You are not going to the core. So please let me hear your view about this before we continue.
Yeah, Abdul, you are very right with everything you've explained. Yeah, because I know that on Python, you have a lot of libraries that would help you connect to an SQL database.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have your SQL Alchemy, SQLite,
Yeah.
and all of them. Yeah, and you need a very little knowledge of SQL. You all need to, select from so table everything you need. And once you pull it into Python, you don't need your SQL again.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's it. Even with the web scraping thing. So you don't need to know everything in SQL.
Yeah.
But for a data analyst who queries the database every time and does most of his job on an SQL on a database, you need to know more
Yes.
But for a data scientist, you don't need to go
Yes.
deep into SQL. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
You're
you.
very right.
Thank you for that understanding. So
Yeah,
the problem
sorry,
we used to have is we don't know the limit of our involvement. Okay, so that is on this. Before I share let me quickly discuss this.
Okay, Abdul.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me share my experience, please.
Okay.
Right. It depends on the organization.
Yeah.
Most of them, I know that when I finished my master's, right, I got a job as a data analyst for 3 years on a contract basis.
Okay.
Right. Majority of them, especially the council, right, they are not segregating the role.
Yes, that is the problem.
Of data engineer, data analyst, or data scientist.
Yes.
So they will put, in fact, they put that I'm going to do statistical analysis, which I'm so happy to do, right, because of my background. But when I got there, I discovered that they are still using spreadsheet Excel to do some work. So the Tableau, Power BI, right? Like Tableau, anybody that have a student account, right? Tableau is free for 1 year, or as long as you are a student. Public Tableau is there. The only thing is that if you are using the public Tableau, you cannot. There are some limitations that you cannot do.
There are some features.
But if you are a student, if anybody have a student account, Tableau is easier to use than Power BI.
Yes.
Power BI, you need to be a good mathematician when you come to that expression. Because it's not the color something that we see, right? Draw the pie chart, put all those bar chart, tree maps, all those things are just coloring. At the background, you need a lot of, especially when you are doing that expression, and when you are trying to put everything together, because you must create your relationship, which is most important. So if anybody have a free account, but as I said earlier, most of the organization, what they sent to me as my job spec, right? They put the work of data engineer, they put the work of data scientists, they put the work of data analysts. So at the end of the day, when I joined, in fact, I was the first person to use the Power BI in the company. So they gave me the license, they removed it at the end of 2 weeks. They said is the management has not approved it. So those are the issues so they expect in fact, they expect a data scientist. That's why most of the people will say you must have your master's or PhD, right? As a data science. So they expect us to have a wide knowledge
of everything.
Right? Everything. Yes. And that's why that we need to know, as you are rightly said, you must have a little of that. R Studio, R programming, Python. Most of these things we just need to, but we need to concentrate on one. Python is the real thing now, right? Which is good. And then we need to bring the knowledge of maybe SQL, and then maybe one of the cloud platform, maybe AWS or Microsoft Azure, because those are the things that they will ask. So that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our problem has been that most companies, they are not standard as they claim. They will tell you this is what they are looking for. They want a data analyst, like the way some of us from Lagos, Nigeria. If you come from Lagos, Nigeria, for example, and you are a nurse, if all this private hospital, if they employed you as a nurse, just know you are doing the work of a medical doctor. You understand? In fact, some places they will be calling you doctor, but the works are different. Exactly, that is what happens in most companies. So you just have to have a little understanding. But one thing is that it is always easy to quickly get your way through. Now, there are various resources. For example, I find that if I have to be employed by a company now, that I say I must use R. I started out some time ago and I stopped. that I must use R, I am not scared at all, because I know it's just for me to get the syntax. Just go and Google it. It's going to give you everything. I already know what to do. Or maybe I can write it in Python and give ChatGPT, please convert it to R code for me. I hope you got that now. Even all this query we are talking about, it's always easy to get the queries now. It's just for you to have the base knowledge. You have a base knowledge of what SQL is. You know how to bring your SQL to Python. And once you bring it, the only problem now is that you don't know the codes to write. Just put it. I already have my database. You already been able to put the database into the Python environment, and then just Google or just type it. Please, I have my database. What code am I going to use to get this from the database? Of course, in less than 1 minute, you get the code. Copy. The most interesting thing is that you know where to use it. You know what you want to use. I hope that is clear. So it's easy to navigate. It's always easy to navigate. Someone say, I'm going to be working on R. I have no problem with that, because I will use my knowledge of Python to work on R. So that is what happens. Now, we are supposed to do machine learning. The question is, because we really understand everything we have been talking about before, we know how to get data, either from the web, either from the database, either it's already existing as CSV file or as in Excel form or whatsoever. We already understand up to that moment where we clean our data. After cleaning the data, where we now do the data visualization. At this point, the work of a data analyst stopped. The work of a data analyst stopped. Well, the data analysts have done everything, has done the wrangling, done everything. Visualize it for us. For example, I'm dealing with a class. After dealing with a class, I want to know the number of male and female. I've plotted the charts, maybe bar chart for it or pie chart for it. And I want to show the whole school and say, okay, these are the number of students we have in the class. And talking about this number of students, these are the numbers of, these are the fractions that are male, these are the fractions that are female, period. Or, okay, this is the performance of a male and female. I can visualize that. As a data scientist, as a data analyst, your work stops there. But now you want to go a bit further and say, okay, I want to bring a student into this class. It's not part of the old students initially. Can the student perform well in this class? You can see that is a question. Of course, in the class, we already have students of different age, different background, different gender, different attributes. Now, I now want to bring another student entirely from somewhere. We have gotten an age, which will be the same thing as the age of some people that I already have during my analysis, which have gotten some gender, which is going to be the same thing as the one I already have, which have gotten some, maybe if there is a way we measure the IQ, we have gotten some IQ level, which have got it. Is this student going to be able to perform better in this class? Now, that is where the data science will come in and say, okay, the data you have analyzed, you have cleaned, you have done the wrangling, you have done everything. And of course, as a data scientist, you are supposed to still be able to do it from the beginning to that point of data analysis as well. Now, you now do additional tasks. After you have done all the wrangling, okay, now let me take the data that I've cleaned. Let me subject it to a machine learning. Let me use it to train a model. After training the model, let me now bring another student from somewhere which has gotten the attribute. But the only thing we have not known about that student is whether a student is going to be able to perform well or not perform well. Let me put it into this class and machine, please tell me, will this student perform well or not? Oh, machine will now say, okay, according to what you say about this student, Okay, this student, okay, you say this student is male, he's 12 years old, this student IQ is this student parents are this students are this, that are this. According to what I have on my previous data, this student and people that have this type of data, they used to perform well. Okay, because of that, this student will perform well. Or according to this data, people that used to have this kind of data, according to the data I have, over 1,000 data I have, people that their data are close to this, they are not going to perform well. I hope you get that now. That is where machine learning comes in. Okay, let's get it better again. We have been taking temperature of every day, and we want to guess whether it's going to rain today in UK. You see, what the machine learning is going to do is going to be like, okay, we have taken the weather condition of UK for over 10 years, every day for over 10 years. So any day we have the relative humidity to be between these points. Any day you have the temperature, the temperature to be within this point. Any day you have the weather condition to be like this. Any day the cloud is like this. Any day it is like this. It's always going to rain for 10 minutes. And today, because it's just like that, it's going to rain for 10 minutes. No, today is like that. It may not likely rain because most of the data that have been like this for the past 10 years, it doesn't used to rain when it looks like this. In this case, we are using the old data to predict the future. I hope you understand now. That is exactly what is supposed to be the work of data scientists. The work of data analysts will have stopped after analyzing the data for us. Then data analysts will now continue and use the same data to predict another thing we don't know. That is where machine learning comes in. We have different ways of doing this machine learning. After you have done that, you can deploy using any of the platforms, using AWS or Azure, or you can even use Google, what is that one? Oracle, Google, what do they call them? They have their own. We have AWS, we have Azure, and we have, what? Google Cloud, right?
GCP, yeah, platform.
Yeah, Google Cloud Platform, thank you. And some other, those are the three common ones. But the chief of them, they are Azure and AWS. After this has been done, this can be deployed on AWS or Azure. Now, that is the core of everything we are supposed to know. But before then, I said I'm going to share a data, which I think I'm done with it. Let me quickly share that. Let me stop this and share another one. Please, can you all see this my VS code? Can you all see this VS code?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. What happened here is that I need the data. You know, I told you if you need the data, you can get it from web, you can get it from database. It could have been a data that is already in CSV file. It could have been in Excel form, but the data I need is not in any of this form, is on the website. And I want to get this data from the website. So, and this kind of data this time around is not just any data, it's a test data. It's not a number, or it's not a table data that we are used to in CSV file. It's the one in form of a test. Like some people are writing some things on their side, like, I don't like the flight is this. Oh, I enjoy my flight from Lagos to London. Some people are saying, oh, those British Airlines, I don't like their service is that, and they did not refund my money on time. You know, when you give some people, when you give your customer the opportunity to say what they want, you understand, on your site, that is the kind of data I want to get this time around. And of course, this one is a type of a natural language processing. So, and that is why I need to import this. For now, you don't need to understand the core of what I'm doing. I just want to tell you how I can interact with database. And with web, this time around it's not with the database. I don't really need to understand how to develop a website before I interact with that. So all I did is that I import all the necessary libraries. For now, don't worry, I install all the necessary library. Of course, you can see pip install. The same way we install Seaborn, we install Matplotlib. That is the same thing I've done on this. I've installed everything. After installing, I have to import. The same way we say import request. I import Beautiful Soup as BS4 imported as a Beautiful Soup. I import Panda. Of course, you always import pandas. And majorly you import. So everything has been imported. You can see I still import Matplotlib. I import natural language processing using sentiment analysis. So everything has been imported. For now, don't bother yourself about that. Now, after importing, this is the website. If I click on this site now, if I go to this, if I click it, it's going to take me to the British Airline website. If you click on it, if I click on it, it will take me there. And all I need is that I want to import 1,000 settlement, what people have been saying about British Airline. So I write the code. This is if I want to give it just for you to copy the code as well, the way we used to copy and paste. So I imported everything. So this process was important. After running, it was trying to import, it was trying to scrape the web. After scraping the web, this was all I got. When I got it, I need to put it in form of data frame. You can see it was not in form of data frame. The same way we are going to get our data in database, and we try to put it in form of CSV file or Excel file as we like. This time around, I want to put this one in form of data frame. After putting it in form of data frame, these are what I got from the data after running it. These are the things they were saying. Despite boarding being the chemical, you can see all this fighting cancel, flight cancel, no crew. This one say the worst service ever. You can see everybody was saying whatsoever they want to say. This person says flights we book this. Of course, there are a lot of statements. All those ones were hidden. If I want to get any of the statement, I'm just going to take that particular statement and I will get everything that the person has written. This one says British Airline has a total this. This one, London to Boston, I was seated on, everybody was just giving their own, and I got up to 1,000 reviews. That is my head. That was my head. I only needed 1,000. If I needed more, I would just increase the number of reviews I want. So after getting that, I do everything I'm supposed to do, and I was able to. This time around is not the normal wrangling. The way we do the wrangling for natural language is different from the way we do for the data and for the numbers. So the kind of wrangling we do here is different. Now, after that, I want to classify my data. This is the most interesting part of it. I want to classify the data, each statement, into whether it's a positive statement or negative statement or a neutral statement. If somebody just say, I enjoyed my data, I enjoyed the flight from London to Lagos, that could have been a neutral statement. Someone could have said, oh, British Airlines, that was the best flight I've ever, that is going to be, maybe that will have been classified as positive. And someone will say, no, they did not, their food was something else. It was something I cannot even eat, and this and that. There are people, in fact, according to the review, many people complain about the British Airline seats, that their seats were too clumsy and this and that. You understand? That it's not comfortable at all. So those were the reviews I was able to get. Now, after that, I was trying to classify them into three, like the way we try to bin our data into like obeys, what do you call it again? On the way, obey, like the same thing. I only try to bring it into 3 categories. So like positive statement, negative statement, and neutral statement. After that, you can see now in the data at the end, I have out of the 1,597 people, their statement was positive about the flight. And only 35 people were neutral about the flight. And about 368 people were negative about the flight. That is not good enough. Because when I have to write my recommendation, that's okay. I have to do some visualization and say, see what I have. This is the sentiment analysis for this. Like the positive, of course, is good that the positive was more than the negative, but notwithstanding, the negative was still not good enough. That is where my job is going to stop as a data analyst. I just have to analyze to tell them what I see from the data. Do you understand? That is where my work is going to stop. So I have been able to tell them that, okay, fine, you have a good positive, but the positive is not good enough. If you can have over 300 people are saying negative things out of the 1,000, that shows that if I try to scrape it up to like 2,000, perhaps like 1,000 of them will have said a negative thing about the flights, which shows that they have a the long way to go about the thing they are complaining about. Now, I want to do beyond it and say, okay, what are the major things they are complaining about? I do more visualization and, oh, it's not part of, oh, it's not here. I store it somewhere. If I run it, but I can't run it now, I have to run it from the beginning to this point. So if I run it, it's going to tell me major things people are talking about on this. It's like I even store it separately. So if I want to check that, I can check it. So people were majorly talking about their seats. That was the major thing that people were talking about. And their refund policy. Their refund policy was not good at all. I had the same encounter with them. Because British Airlines, I paid, I think I paid around 700 Naira from Lagos from Lagos to London. And one of my kids was supposed to follow me, and we canceled the flight for the boy. So after later I needed my refund. Out of the 700,000, I was only refunded I think around 290,000. You can see the refund policy was a very poor one. So during my analysis, I discovered that many people were complaining about their refund policy. This is where my work will stop as an analyst, and my recommendation can come in here and say, since this has happened and since negative things is more, how do we reduce this negative? If this has been the neutral and the neutral is the negative, then it's going to be a perfect one. So that is going to be what we're going to work on. Okay, majorly people talk about the seat. What happened to the seat? Did they need to change some of the seat? Did they need to, you understand? And people were talking about their bags, their luggage. So what actually happens to their luggage? Maybe some people, their bag got spoiled during the process. So they have to look for a way for people to be very careful when they handle the customer bags during when they are packing their loads. So those are the things that are supposed to be communicated, and the organization, they have to look into that. That is where your work stops as a data scientist or analyst. As a data analyst. But as a data scientist, you want to go one more extra and say, okay, let me use this data to train a model. If I use it to train a model, I will now say, okay, for this particular passenger, what is the review likely going to be? Is the review likely going to be negative, positive, or neutral? And most of the attributes I will use, I will check where the passenger is boarding from. Is it moving from Lagos to London, or from London to Lagos? Or is it moving from Abuja to Lagos, and from Abuja to London, or from Abuja to Manchester, or things like that? Those are the things that happens. You see that people that move from Lagos to London, they have different complaints compared to people that move from Lagos to Manchester and things like that. So the kind of flights, the number, of course, the flight has gotten different number. Their flight varies. Maybe those people that enter, for example, if they say they fly 777, for example, and another people, those people that enter 715, I don't know the name, okay, for example, their experience are different. People in first class and people in economy, their experience are different. People that want a refund and people that doesn't want a refund, their experience are different. Some people complain about waiting time or things like that. Do you understand? So I now want to know for another particular passenger. That is not going to be the work of analyst. It's going to be the work of a data scientist. And in that case, you need to build a machine learning for that. Thank you. So this has been the experience so far. And please just say one or two things before we finish today's class. But this is just the journey of what a data analyst is supposed to be, and what a data scientist is supposed to be, and what a data engineer is going to be. Now, at this point, I can say we have completed the work of a function of data analyst. You have been able to get the data, you have been able to do the EDA, you have been able to do the wrangling on the data, you have been able to do the visualization of the data, and you are able to explain your visualization. For example, I have just stated that the number of the number of positive review was more than the number of negative, but the negative was too much. It's not good enough. So then from there, I will be able to make a recommendation and say, okay, these are the things they are complaining about. Please, let's adjust this, let's adjust this. That is going to make it better. That ends my job as a data analyst. So up to this point, everybody has been able to do the work of a data analyst. The next thing is to be able to do the work of a data scientist. That is building a model, machine learning model. And when talking about model, we have different classifications of model. Some people, we say, when you talk about a machine learning, you have classification and you have a regression models. Some we start from the point of supervised, unsupervised, and semi-supervised machine learning model. So we have what we call supervised model, we have what we call unsupervised model, and we have what we call semi-supervised model. Okay, what does all this thing mean? Let me quickly just explain. For example, if we have a data, for example, someone send a data. Because I'm from Nigeria, I want to use the Nigerian point of view here. Someone sent a data of a school of or college of nursing in Lagos to me. Just says this is the population. These are all the students, rather. These are all the students of College of Nursing, Lagos, Uganda, and send it to me. Student number 1, student number 2, up to like if they have like 1,000 students. Just send all their entries, their matric number, their name, if they care to, their gender, their states, and like that, with other attributes sent to me, their date of birth, everything was sent to me. That is from data from College of Nursing, Igando, Nigeria, Lagos. And another one from Egbe, Kogi State, Ekwa College of Nursing, Egbe, Kogi State. The same data was sent to me for like their 1,000 students was sent to me. And someone again from Abuja sent College of Nursing, Abuja students data to me. The same entry. Of course, they don't have to, they didn't do anything on that. They just get the entry and send it to me. This is going to be, if I want to build any machine learning models on this, it's going to be unsupervised. There is nothing on the entry that is telling me that these students, these are the at the end of their maybe of their graduation, these are the ones that are successful in life. Of course, we have what we use to measure our success, rather. So we can say these are the numbers of the people that are successful in life. Out of them, maybe 50% or 80% of them were very successful. Of course, when you say people are successful from the material point of view, you talk about the kind of things they have in life, their achievements. Now, there is no column that is telling me about how successful they are. The only thing I can try to look into here is that I can just group it and say, okay, how many of them are male, how many of them are female, right? Now, from them, I can see that, okay, majority of them are female, while most of them are not female. Okay, most of them are male. So from my conclusion, I can conclude like, okay, majority of the people that go to College of Nursing Nigeria, they are majorly female. Like 80% of them, 90% of them are female. I've been in a class where I would teach like maybe, let's just say I teach like 200 students, and just like about 15 of them is going to be male. Every one of them in the class, they are all going to be female. That is the condition of healthcare College of Nursing in Nigeria. So in that case, I'm only trying to look into the pattern of what happens in the data. This kind of data, if I want to look into pattern of what happened, random pattern, I can just call it unsupervised machine learning model. There are models that are used to build unsupervised machine learning. Now, there are some that are semi-supervised. Some parts is going to be labeled, while some parts are not going to be labeled. While there are some that are generally supervised machine learning model. Now, if I want to make it as something that is supervised, I will now come and say, at the end of their graduation, after 20 years of their graduation, this is the worth of this individual. For example, I want to concentrate on the one from Lagos. And now say, for this 1,000 students from Lagos, Igado, from maybe between 1980 to 1990, these are the students we got. Then after 20 years, these are their worth. And after that, I will now say, because of this their worth, I will say, very successful, successful, not successful. You can see, I categorize them into three. I said some are very successful, some are successful, and some are not successful. These are supervised learning. Now, I now want to pick another student that just want to enter a school of nursing or college of nursing, or that is already in college of nursing. I want to see, in the next 10 years, is this individual going to be successful or not successful? You can see, I want to predict. This becomes a supervised learning. No, I will now take every measurement that I've taken for those other people and take it. The only thing I cannot take at this point is that I don't know if this is going to be successful in future, but all these other ones, I already know they are successful, they are not successful. I will now suggest it to the machine learning and say, okay, use the data I have before, use it to predict if this particular student with this age at this point, at this level at this point, with this particular data at this point, is this individual going to be successful in life? Of course, this is going to be subjected to so many other things. Okay, you can use that to build a machine learning model that is called a supervised learning. And this is the most common, or this is the common, the most common machine learning techniques, the supervised learning. For example, you take my data now. You take, you want to take my some X data. You want to check my blood pressure. You want to check my body mass index. You want to check my which other data? Maybe my blood group. You want to take some samples of my blood and do some things on that. Then you pick it and you use it to check some people that already have this kind of things, and you want to check if I'm going to have cancer or not. You can see. So there's going to be a machine learning that has been designed to dictate if an individual can have a cancer or not. But now I don't know whether I am prone to have cancer or not. Now, you already build with people that have cancer and don't have cancer. You already have the data, thousands of data for them. You get the same data from me and now put it to the machine learning. The machine learning will now say, okay, wow, with this kind of data, the people that used to have this kind of data, no, they are going to have cancer. No, they are not going to have cancer. So you can use the data to predict about me, which shows that you are going to get every necessary data you are supposed to get from me. These are the kind of things we call machine learning model. Or, for example, you want to predict the rents, the house rents in UK. You get some samples. For example, you get the samples in London, you get the sample in Poole, you get the samples in maybe Manchester, and you see, you get like 1,000 samples of different building. 2-bedroom flats, 3-bedroom flats, a house, a room self-contained with their different dimension. And again, you're also going to see whether it is equipped, furnished, partially furnished, or unfurnished building. You already have different buildings like that with their price. So you have the price for it, and they say, oh, if this house is in Dorset, and if it is 2-bedroom flat, if it is unfurnished, and within and is having this dimension, is going to cost 1.2. If the same house is in London, it's going to cost 2.1. You understand? If the same house is in Manchester, it's going to cost 1,000. You already have those different measurements. And now I build a particular house in London. And I want you to guess, to tell me, or maybe to just advise on the price that I can tag the building. So you just put the dimension, you just put the parameter. Where, okay, the location is in London. How many bedroom flat, 2-bedroom flat? What is the dimension? Is it large double room or things like that? How many toilets? You understand? What is the dimension? Then again, things like is it furnished, unfurnished, semi-furnished? Okay. Is it a new accommodation, or is it a new one, or something that has been used before? If you put this in the machine learning, I haven't built a machine learning based on some history before. The machine learning is going to tell you the price, and okay, for this particular building, it should be charged at 2.5 per month. So such is a machine learning supervised as well. But you will see that this one is different from the first one that is predicting whether someone has a cancer or not. This one is only categorical. Yes or no. Yes or no. Or sometimes it can be like 3 categories. BMI, okay, it's going to be overweight, underweight, or obese. You see, these are categorical type. Any type of supervised learning that is categorical is going to be a classification, a machine learning. But if it is not a classification, here we are looking for a price. A price, you cannot tell me a price can be, or of course, you can also make a price to be categorical and say low price, high price, or a medium price. Okay, I'm asking for the cost, and you are telling me it's going to be a high price. No, I'm not asking for the categorical value. I'm asking for the actual value. Now, in that case, it's not going to be a categorical, it's going to be a continuous value. You tell me, oh, this house should be charged 2.1. This house should be charged 1,250. This house should be charged 1,400. You see, it's a continuous value. It's not like a categorical value. If it is a continuous value like that, the kind of machine learning we build for it is called a regression machine learning. Let me quickly, so before we close for today, let me quickly share, I think, okay, this was the one I was sharing before. Okay, I think I still have some other thing. Let's look into this. Okay, let's check this. Yes. This is a machine learning. This is a machine learning. We have gotten in this kind of classification for this individual that I downloaded it, that made this classification, has made the machine learning classification in terms of try to classify it into like 4. Says we have ensemble model, we have reinforcement model, yeah, reinforcement learning, yeah. This one is used for things like robotic. You want to train something like reinforcement. Reinforcement is like robotic, yeah. Something you are using a training reward method. When you do this, if you do it well, I reward you. If you don't do it well, I will not reward you. So next time, if I reward you for doing it correctly, next time you will pass through that place and you will be rewarded. It means next time you will do it better. So that is a sign, a form of reinforcement learning. Things like robotic uses reinforcement. A sample model, this one, they are just an advanced supervised learning. Yes, they are an advanced supervised learning. They are more advanced than all these ordinary supervised and unsupervised learning. So you use them for things like supervised. During our model, we are going to use something like random forest. We are going to use something like SGB boost. Those are more advanced. They have more efficiency compared to what we have here. Now, we have neural network. Yeah, in neural network, majorly I've worked with convolutional neural network, majorly for imaging, for images rather. If you have some image, you can, instead of converting them to data, you can just look at the image and say, this image is, any image that looks like this is going to be a cancerous image. If it's not like that, it's not a cancerous image. So you can build a convolutional neural network. And of course, many of us already been hearing about GAN and so many natural language processing stuff like ChatGPT. So majorly they use things, the family of neural network. The family of statistical inference of the supervised learning and unsupervised learning. For unsupervised learning, you can cluster. You can use cluster. I've used cluster before. You use cluster for this. And we have what we call dimensionality reduction. This one, we are still going to use it not even as an unsupervised learning, but a way to reduce our table. For example, you have a table that the other table we shared the other time. I think we have like 70 columns. If you have like 70 columns, it is not all the 70 columns that are going to be very important. There are some columns that are more important than the other. There are some columns that will contribute to the prediction than the other. So you can use this dimensionality reduction to just get like maybe out of the 70, we may just use like 30 of them that will be the best for our prediction. So we can use like PCA and still use it in supervised learning. There is a way we can use that. There are other supervised learning like classification I mentioned and regression. If you want to do classification, like classify something like either obese, classify as obese, underweight, etc. like that, you use classification model. You want to classify like successful, unsuccessful in life, is going to be classification model. High temperature, low temperature is going to be a classification model. The kind of machine learning you can use for them can be something like KNN, logistic regression, NB, decision tree, SVM. Those are things you can use to build a classification model. But if you want to build a regression model, like the one that we predict a continuous stuff, like price is the major thing, like we can easily understand. For people in finance, you may majorly use regression more than classification, because most of your things that calculation are dealing with numbers. So you're going to be building a regression model. And when you want to build a regression model, you use a linear regression. You can see here we use logistic regression for classification. But for regression, you use a linear regression. However, there are some that we see be beneficial to both classification and regression. So, but the popular ones are the ones that have been listed here, according to this author. So, this is all what we call classification, machine learning, unsupervised machine learning, regression, machine learning, and ensemble models, reinforcement. For reinforcement, there are so many things you can use for reinforcement as well. For natural for neural network, there are things you can build for neural network. So like convolutional neural network. So and GAN, they are very common. Transformer is also very common. Let me check if I still have some people that have some other classification, some other stuff. Okay. So these are the tools we have so far, and these are what where we are going to stop. And in our next class, we can easily, I hope I will have gotten my setup done. We can easily run through Excel. When you check this, when you are talking about database, you can talk about MongoDB or SQL. We have different form of SQL as well. So, but since we are talking about the structured one, we're only going to be dealing with SQL, not MongoDB here. Okay. If you are using R, these are the kind of libraries you can come across in R. If you are using Python, these are the kind of libraries you can come across in Python. And for deployment, of course, we talked about deployment the other time. The most common one is Azure and AWS. This person did not put AWS anyway. And for data visualization, you can see this individual put in Excel. Excel, you cannot remove Excel from data science. Excel is also a very good tool. So, of course, we even discovered that some of our data are in Excel form. Some of our data are in CSV form. Okay, so it's a very good tool as well. And when you are talking about natural language, of course, we also have a natural language processing, which example of what I listed the other time, which you can use text classification the same way I've classified my test as either negative or positive. You can have that in natural, because natural language processing is different. It's a special, okay? We are dealing with machine learning, and then we have special aspects. There are special aspects where we can be talking about looking into tests. Please excuse me. Sorry, I quickly speak with my family. Now, you can easily talk about you want to process data. When processing the data, like text messages, like typing stuff, all those data that have to do with text messages, like the one we do on our website, we use natural language processing for that. If we are processing things that have to do with picture, we have to use something like computer vision for that. So we use computer vision, and in that case, we can use something like convolutional neural network. So we can use for that. So we have different aspects that we will be looking into, but you can't look into everything at once. Majorly for now, we only be talking about table data, those that are in tabular form. That is what we are used to. There are ways to process text data. There are ways to process things that are in picture form. So, but we have to understand them one after the other. The easiest to understand is the one that are in tabular form. So that is what I can say for now. We can only develop ourselves on natural language process, develop ourselves on computer vision, develop ourselves on neural network, develop ourselves on things that have to do with like gang, dealing with ChatGPT or stuff like that. So which are still part of test modeling. Yeah, test modeling when you're dealing with test messages. So there are different aspects we can go into. But for a start, we are going to start from a tabular format, which is the general one that everybody should know. After you know the general one, you can now specialize and say, okay, I am more interested in natural language. I am more interested in computer vision. For me, I'm more interested in computer vision and natural language than talking about the tabular format. But since that is the general one everyone must know, you must start from there. So you are just going to pick an aspect you love to go into. So thank you. This is what I can say for now. And I think our time has gone. So you can say one or two things before we call it a day. Thank you. Blaise, I'm with you. Everyone, you can unmute yourself and say one or two things before we call it a day.
Excellent session explaining all the differences, the tools that we needed, and some of the issues that are involved. Well, thank you, Abdul.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I would also like to thank you so much. I have really enjoyed this session. When I started my profession into the data field, all these things have become clumsy for me. I always find it difficult differentiating between
Yes.
data analyst, data engineer, data scientist, machine learning.
Everybody, you're not the only one in that, because that also affected me. At the point I wanted to quit because I will want to apply for a job and the job will be asking me, did you know EC2, AWS? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't even know that is not part of your job. You understand? I will like, what is AWS again? Now I want to know AWS. So I started again, researching, I started again, you understand? I just want to know everything.
And that has been my story.
Yes.
I have learned data engineering. I've been introduced to AWS.
Yes.
I'm currently preparing for AWS certification in
yes.
cloud.
And
then I'm doing this data science because I realized when I apply the kind of questions that they ask, it looks like I'm still not there.
Yeah.
So I have to go back and go and upgrade myself. Then it's becoming on
like you don't have direction. You just be thinking, what am I supposed to know?
When you master in Excel, you go for some interview, they are asking for R or they're asking for Python. So you have to come back and come and learn deep into that one. Another person to be asking some. Right now, even with the cloud computing, they are asking for snowflakes.
Yeah, that is the problem. At a point, that has been the problem. At the point you will discover that you have to go into PySpark, you'll be question on PySpark, this and that, for big data, you understand?
So as you said, I actually gave up at a point.
Yeah, the same thing happened to me.
And still I was not gaining my grounds. I wanted to give up, but I decided to give it a chance with this data science course, and I think it has been very useful and beneficial to me. It is opening my knowledge broader and broader on the field, and I would like to pursue further.
Yeah. Hello.
Thank you.
Hello.
How about you?
Okay. I think a lady asked about authorization the other time, right?
Yeah.
The authorization need to deal with your manager.
Yes.
Because they cannot give you access to some sensitive data if you are not competent enough, right? And this is a very good lecture, right? I can say that majority of those people that are even interview people, they don't even know what they are doing. Some of them just go and copy questions from online, right? I've attended interview before. They said that I perform excellently. But the problem that we have is that after 5 years, they cannot be able to control me. So that is the issue, most of them. And then when we talk of data analysis, somebody that can add 2 plus 2 in Excel, they call themselves data analyst, right? I worked with a senior data analyst before. In fact, I know better than that person. So that's the issue that we are facing. So anybody can just come because he can open spreadsheets and call themselves data analysts. So don't let us lose hope, right? There's the only thing is that what you want to know it perfectly. That's what I can say. Because so many things, there are so many confusion over there. It's a very, I don't want to say it. It's a very field that is, there's no bearing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. To yours, I was in a class sometimes while I was a student in the class. There was a professor in US that was taking us through the data boot camp. He was saying that even to the knowledge of what we have now, and we think we know nothing, that we know more than what people call those people they call senior data analysts, data scientists somewhere else. That with the little one we know now, even this little we have done, many data analysts out there don't know it.
Yeah.
You understand? But the most important thing for us is just to be able to get a role. When you get your role, you are going to learn on the job. And that is what majority do. It's just to have the opportunity to get the job. And once they get that job, the roles you are going to get may not even demand all these things we are doing. May not demand for it. Do you understand? So, but you just have to know the little part of all this to get to where you are going. Once you get there, the tools they use will define whom you are. The tool they use, if you get a job that they are looking for data scientists or data analysts, and at the end they use Excel, that is the only thing they use. So you just have to develop yourself to use the Excel. If you now have the influence to make them to migrate to other tools, that is going to be later. It's not going to be immediately when you are employed. Then you just have to key into what they use. Get used to the Excel, learn more about the Excel, and that is it. You just need to get the job. Once you get the job, you use their tool. That has been the conclusion out there. Thank you.
I'd like to ask another question here. I think for some people who are, I mean, welcome all the other people on the talk on the call that talked about their experience. I think for some people it's getting the first job and sometimes moving from a different area, particularly if they've learned a course and they just can't, getting the first job can be difficult. I know in the public sector, we are moving more to getting roles. And I know some councils are they're ahead with data. They're pushing the data because we have a lot of data in the councils, in public sector, NHS. So they are making use of their data, but it's about internal staff wanting to apply for the new jobs that are coming up. And I think sometimes if they're not getting that support because they're already there, and they even mentioned that some people, they're going to get a shock, will have to become software engineers and data analysis, and they haven't really learned those roles because the roles are changing. Technology is moving fast. So as I put, my question is about getting that first job and the training and moving, because some of us haven't done masters or anything, but we've got, we might be doing a bit, not a course or apprenticeship, because then we are moving towards apprenticeship program. We've got in some places they will offer you an apprenticeship because you are permanent staff. So it's those people, how they can move into those roles because they're already in the sector.
Yeah, I think this happens to everyone. So getting the job is a big deal. Why you have to know all this is just to have the idea, once the opportunity comes, especially if it's going to be through some apprenticeship, and I think that is the best method. You enter there, you may even know better than people that are teaching you. You may know better than people that are teaching you. You just have to get into the field through a method. Once you get to the field, that may be like 2 years before you can actually become an okay. Getting into the field is always a problem. It's always a big thing. So I will advise you can go through the apprenticeship method to apply for a data science. Of course, they are going to train you for like 12 weeks and maybe post you to a company. Of course, through that method, you get into the job. Getting into the job is a big deal. It's the same for everyone. Even myself, it's the same thing for everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the time and the insights you've shared so far. You've expanded our knowledge, widened our knowledge towards the course. And that problem I still on this because I've attended so many interviews with the council, Udam City Council, where I applied for workforce analyst, but at the end of the day, I was told I didn't have enough experience. But because I basically did an PowerPoint presentation on the job I've done or everything I've done and take them through the process of where
Sometimes they tell you don't maybe you don't use you don't have UK experience. And imagine someone just coming into the field and they want you to get the UK experience. Where are you supposed to get it from?
So at the end of the day, I was called the third day that they enjoyed my discussion with them, but the major issue is they want someone that has more experience on data in UK because the department is a new department and they want someone that has been in the system to handle it. And that's and another restriction there is our visa. The visa we have, yes, that's the major restriction because most of them
they tell you if you have not spent 3 years in UK, they can't even
3 years. Yes, that happened to me with ONS, Office of the National Statistics. So they basically told me that that I've not spent it, that they can't entrust my data with me. I even won with same ONS. I've been sent a congratulatory mail. I still got the mail with me that they will tell me the process or what to do. But after 7 days, they send me glitch of system. So the major thing is I just believe if you keep building ourselves while we stabilize in the country, then when the times come, we'll be able to reap the fruit of all the rigorous process we've been through.
Yeah. And for people that are in finance, I will advise that you have a course in UK financial regulatory something like that. Some people in finance, right? Anyone in finance here?
Well, I studied big data analytics.
In finance.
Yeah, UK, stuff like that. Because there was a time, some people they said they cannot hire me because I don't have UK financial regulatory or regulation certificate. So even after this, you still have to go and register with the body and have their certificate as well. So there are a lot of these things are just step by step. Just ensure you do what you are supposed to do, and definitely your time will come. That is the hope.
Can I ask a question? Are you saying, I'm just curious because I'm based in the UK and I work for a UK council. Are you saying that they don't entrust your data with people who work overseas?
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
Yes.
Oh.
They will tell you need to spend total amount of years in UK before they can entrust the data with you.
There was a job I saw. They said it's on data security. They said if you have not spent 10 years in UK, they cannot give you the job. They can't trust their security with you.
So are you saying that all those cybersecurity jobs, they're really promoting the training? I know youngsters, I've seen the training. Are you saying that if somebody to do cybersecurity, to access UK data, you need to be in the UK? That's cybersecurity.
It's going to be a difficult task to get the job.
For cybersecurity, even though they're encouraging more
Yeah.
jobs in that area. So if the jobs
Yes.
are, they're training everybody, there's so much training courses, but if somebody goes and do that training and they want to access, do cybersecurity for UK company, they need to have lived in the UK for 10 years.
You have to live in UK for 3 to 5
It's
years.
interesting to know these.
Yeah,
Obviously,
3
there
to
are
5 years.
restrictions.
Even the one I saw, they were saying 10 years. So you have to
Yeah.
live in the UK between 3 to 5 years.
I think
The specific class said you must spend 10 years in UK before you can get that role.
you see this. Let me just come in here, right? The
Yeah.
issue there is that when all those jobs, especially in the financial sector, right?
Yeah.
They need to do a comprehensive police report
And check, yeah.
and check,
Yeah.
right? So that because when I got a job in the financial sector, then, right? In fact, even my university, the day that I went to the university, right? The day I left England to Scotland, I put that date, my university corrected it. So they need to come back to me that date that I put, they need to put it right. So, and then the police clearance, comprehensive police clearance, they look at my license, they look at my, how do I call it, online transactions. They look at all those things. And then the reason is this, for them to ensure their data to anybody, right? They want to be sure that it's the person that will not sell their data. So that's where the issue comes from. But one thing I can tell anybody, please don't let us relent, right? The opportunities are there. Keep on learning, right? That is what is most important thing there. So because I can see it when my first job as a data analyst, there are so many things behind the data, right? That they will never expose to anybody. So that's what I can say, but let's have a good good security, a good check of ourselves. So it's very important for us. I can say that, but the opportunity is there for everybody. Yeah. That's what I can say.
Thank you for this pulling our elevating our mind, because sometimes most of us will just be like, it doesn't worth it. You are learning what you don't use to work. It's just like a waste of time. It's like you have a PhD, you have a degree, you have a master's, you have a PhD, and you are not using it to work. It's like you have just wasted your time. So
yeah, seriously, last year, a month will not pass that I won't had an interview for a data analyst or data scientist. But the one I got around that December, that pulled me out completely. I was like, what's the need of all this thing? These people just want us to pay the dues before they can give us a major role in this country. Because when you say we should come and study here, we study and we're able to complete the study and come out with a good grade, then you are telling us we have to spend 3 years in the UK.
And the
before
3 years is not part of the schooling. They will tell you.
It's not part of the schooling.
Yes, it's not part.
So I just thought of what's the need for them, just find a way to be in the country then. But I was not like, why me stay in the country? Let me keep developing myself. Because last year, what even puts me up is that I also did a boot camp last year with high impact as a data analyst. So that really set me on track. But I just love it as you keep adding skilling myself up. When the time comes, the opportunity will come. That's just it.
That's great.
But it's getting better now. Don't let me deceive you. When I first came to the country, if you don't have the landline, nobody will give you the job.
Oh.
Yeah. So I could recollect my first experience. I retired as a bank manager, came to UK, right? I want to get a job. They said, where is my NI? So people are coming in now. The minute you come in, you get your NI.
Yes.
When we came, In fact, if you don't have the landline, nobody recognize the mobile. So nobody will even call you for interview without the landline. Things are getting better. Please let us just be patient. I think in the next 6 months, 1 year.
So it means some of us that just even came last year, we have not even passed through anything.
Yeah, so my own set.
Wow.
My own set is highly skilled migrant program that I came. Wow. Right? I was in the bank sector when Soludo became the governor of Central Bank. That's when he raised the capitalization up. Wow. That's what made me and my family to relocate, right? So nobody out of my set that they gave the highly skilled migrant program that can even work for. When we came, nobody, I can say it with no apology, nobody can get anything for 6 or 9 months. So things will get better. So developing. I can see maybe in the next 1 year, the trend will change. So there's opportunity. So don't let us lose hope. Let's keep on trying.
Okay.
Let's keep on trying. Let's keep on trying.
What I will advise is that if we have opportunity to attend any webinar, any conference, any online, like even 2 hours online and conference, things like that. Let's keep joining and gathering information, because information is power.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and let's when we find ourselves in this community, we can join. We can join community in UK here. If I'm not sure if we of any community, data science community in UK. If I see anyone, I will join. We can join community, and I believe that is going to elevate our hope. And we in the community, we can keep sharing our experience, and I'm sure with what some of us have said is always going to get better. So
yeah, I think we are in a community already. At least the committee organized this.
Sure.
A committee organized this.
So I think what we can even be doing now is that we can always be interacting with ourselves. When we load any data on our system, we can just say, okay, please, I'm doing this. I got this error. Okay, okay, this is what I want to do. What can I do? You understand? So that we can keep building ourselves. You understand? Yeah. So let's interact. It can be on the WhatsApp group. You understand? Let's keep sharing our Google Colab there. Let's keep sharing our data. If you have any data that you think is interesting, share it in the group. Let everybody go through it, and if you discover any good things about the data, talk about it. You understand? So if I find any problematic data and I want us to go through it, I will share it in the group so that we try it and practice. Do you understand? So everyone can do that as well, so that we keep our hope alive.
Okay, that's a good idea. Thank you very much.
So, as someone have said, we already grow a community. Yeah, we already grow a community. Let's make the community bigger, and let's keep encouraging ourselves. So, because one of these days, I want to see that, like, every one of us, we are in different company and we share our experience and say, thank God, today, this is what we are. This is whom we are. You understand? So I believe it's definitely going to come to that point.
Can I add, Abdul, I welcome all your experiences, because some of you have you've got jobs and you've got that exposure, and you talk about what you've been through. So I would say, in terms of resources, can we share resources? Can we not even develop our own boot camp? You know, our group, talking to Ian and the organizers here, can we not develop our own boot camp for the people that come here who are members of this this group?
Yeah, I think that is the aim of this black data professional
because then we
network.
can get the experience, we can build in, bring in contacts, we can create our own contracts. I think sometimes what you've done, you've given us the tools, you've spent weeks, and numbers have gone down, but I think sometimes to encourage people, say we're doing a boot camp, you know, we have, because some of in this country, it is who you know. It's like everywhere in the world. I come from the Caribbean. So if we can encourage people to say we've got speakers coming in, we're making connections to even the British Computer Society. They, you know, sometimes in this way, you have to encourage people to come, like lead the horse to water, that type of thing. So if we can create like a boot camp, we can create connections to other organizations, offer contracts in the future. And I can't speak for the group, but it's a way and stop this, you know, this, obviously we cover the regulations as well, because we want to connect. I'm being biased that we connect to everybody, that we connect to Africa and the Caribbean. That's what I see the vision with data. It's not just here in England. I know people think it's just England, but you're going to be, we have Africa's using data, the Caribbean. So it's looking further afield. I know people are trying to come here and they're facing what do you call it? Obstacles, unnecessary obstacles, because there's always obstacles, and I was born here. So why are we facing obstacles when we should be creating opportunities over? You see, come away from those obstacles. That's my view.
I think
saying this on the recording, apologies.
Yeah, I think the aims of data science, data professional network is to first build our house. For example, now, as I think if we are up to like 15 and we are good one, we already have our the knowledge we are supposed to have. I think the next step would be for a land to always brings different employers here, recruiters here, for us to interact and connect with. But let's first build our proficiency first, so that we can be proud that in our group, we have like up to 10 to 15 data analysts, data scientists. You understand? Then the group can continue to grow and develop. I believe a point is going to come when I'm not going to be the only instructor here. You understand? So a time is going to come when I'm not going to be the only instructor here. I may just take a list, for example, and you can be the one that will take the dictionary, and another person will be the one that will take data wrangling. You understand? We are already building. I don't think we are yet there, but I'm sure very soon we are going to be there. Yeah, we are going to be there. So I'm sure that is part of the goal. That is part of the goal. Let's just quickly build ourselves. When we build ourselves and we are strong to a particular level, we can bring in and then pour out our mind, different recruiters. That is going to be the plea to the data professional network, Black Data Professional Network. So that is going to be our plea. Let's interact with recruiters. So through our bootcamp. So thank you. I'm sure Lan and Blaze, they are here. They can hear this and they can hear our plea. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Yeah, thanks for your time. It's a very nice one today.
Thank you.
So I think we can call it a day now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye. You're welcome.